data, no, in your organizations, and really, no, how you could, no, or what could be the challenges of implementing this way of working inside your organizations. As Monica said, actually
just a minute, Mar. I'm sorry. Can you project full screen? It would be.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you. And just an indication, we are recording the webinar, just to let you know. It will be available after. Thank you.
So just for me to get because I know you know each other, but I don't know you. If you can connect a moment to Slido, we are gonna make a really small exercise. So if you can go to the first QR code, yeah. I'm gonna share another here. Okay, we have a lot of other. Okay, I expect you to be somehow mobility experts. Yeah. We have also city managers. Great. Okay. We have 9 responses. We should reach 20 something. Okay. Perfect. I give you 30 more seconds. So it's quite balanced. So we have a majority of, and I would like to understand the other, but we don't have time. I'm afraid so. So I think it's really interesting, the mix that we have today here, because you mix really this expertise in mobility, but also some management and policy maker, and that's why the decision making here it's important. If we can go to the next question, and so sorry. And for me, it's important now to understand. No, it's the same one. Up. A ver. Ahora espera que no funciona esta. Okay. Present. Okay. Can you see the next slide? The next question? No. Okay, it's not working. So no worries. I think that with now we know a little bit each other. So I'm gonna start really with the content. So I think that most of us, and I can recall a lot of films and a lot of images, we thought that by that times mobility in cities will be very different, no? If we go to Blade Runner, no, we were supposed now to have cars flying in the streets. We were able to move each other, by teletransportation. But the fact is that the reality is, I think, that in more of the cities, and actually I'm going to excuse myself because I live in a really urban city. So, and I know that you are touching upon other realities, but so the examples that we are going to see today come basically from Barcelona, but I think that can be somehow not translated into your realities. But this is how the cities look like today. No, this is a very central space that we have in Barcelona, Plaza de las Glorias, that has been in continuous transformation for more than, I would say, 50 to 60 years already. But that for me, it's recalling the paradigm, that we are seeing in mobility today, really how we are trying to change the way that cars are embedded in in the urban fabric. You can see how Barcelona was really density with a lot of mobility. It's really car centric. We have these roundabouts, like really this infrastructure, that it's really hard in cities. And this is how like Plaza de las Glorias will look like, or looks like today. So the change is it's quite radical. It's a city where we can imagine people moving by walking, by cycling, and also using public transportation. And what we cannot see actually is that the technologies that embedded here are really evident. It's this mobility, this hard infrastructure. But here we have other technologies which are intangible and which make possible this new way of thinking. And this is data technologies. So I want you to reflect in this first part of the morning on this change, how we are in a moment where we are trying to mix, or we are trying to build new paradigms related to mobility, and we can actually apply new technologies that we have, and these are these data technologies. We can apply them to our realities. So which are these new urban drivers in cities? It's clear, and I think we can really synthesize it or I will try to synthesize it in three. First one, it's climate change. I think it's quite evident in all your realities, and I think related to mobility, it's quite clear. We need to reduce the emissions. We need to reduce movements. We need to really change the paradigm of mobility in cities if we want to address adaptation and mitigation of climate change. Second paradigm, we learned through COVID, and I think it's mostly in all urban agendas at the international, European level, it's health. We want to create, or we are trying to create new urban paradigms that can create more healthy cities. And mobility here, it's important how we are making this shift to active mobility, to use public space as a kind of infrastructure for public health. And then we have the changes in productivity. All of us, we are not together, unfortunately, today in a room, but we are teleworking, we are connected online. So the way actually we produce knowledge, we produce interactions, it's really changing. And that makes that we move less. So there are all these three new urban drivers have a really impact, and a really clear impact in mobility. So regarding mobility, we are actually decreasing big movements, because also we have broken down somehow this link between the place we live, the place we work. And we make possible sometimes to really live in a part of the city and go to another one, and this is not as related as it was before. There is this teleworking as the new paradigm that makes or enables us to decrease these big movements, but at the same time we are increasing small movements, because there is this value of the proximity. We are trying to build upon these new small centralities. And it's something that, for example, in Spain, we have calculated. We have now 10 to 20% less mobility than before COVID, but this mobility is made more in proximity. So it means that the paradigm, some of the paradigms, the well-established paradigms of mobility are changing. We have more intermodality, and that means with car and public transportation, but also personal mobility like skate, walk, bicycle, and other new devices that are going to appear in the next years. And also we have more capillarity on the mobility. So these more these personal devices actually allows to increase capillarity. That is something that we learn with bicycle, that enables us to do a lot of movements during the day, really point to point, no? Something that somehow, no, for example, with public transportation, it's not, no, as possible. And then for me, like, and that's why this is the end, no? Like I put it at the end. Actually, the main paradigm is that we have less systematic mobility and more erratic mobility. So that means that mainly, this mobility that we used to do, when we work to work has changed. And now we move because we want to, we need to take care of others. We need to bring our child to school. We need to make, our everyday shopping, and it's something that it's more erratic, So if we manage to really reduce work mobility, we are increasing the movement related to our everyday activities in the city, and that makes a lot of movements that we need to do every day, So how can we address these new urban paradigms? This is why we use, or we like to work with data. And when I mean working with data, we need to be, I think, really aware that in the last 10 years, that has been, in the last 10 to 20 years, that has been a huge data revolution. So I come from a generation of architects, and I think Monica's a little bit younger than me. We knew each other in faculty. I think she's from the generation of Google Maps. I'm not. No, so I used to buy data from the Institute of Cartography here in Catalonia for my projects at the university. But I think that Monica, for example, already looked into data on Google Maps, no? So I see some faces that you are more close to me, some others that you are more close to Monica. But that means that the data that we have to touch upon, some of these complexities that we have in city and specifically mobility have changed a lot. And that means that we, on the very basis, we have basic cartography, related, on the physical description of the city. We have also statistics that I think in the world of mobility, you are really, great collectors of statistics, of making surveys, of really understanding, a lot of the behaviors that we have in cities. But that has changed a lot, in this last 10 years. In Europe, since 2006, we have transparency laws. In Spain, for example, since 2010, we start having our first open data portal. So that means that the local authorities like you are releasing more and more data related to your activities, and that I think that internally it's challenging you a lot. But this is data that is very useful from outside, for example, from a urban planning perspective, for us to produce some new projects and some new proposals. We have also, and I think in the world of mobility has been also a great evolution, all the sensoring related to IoT, to traffic, to traffic control, to lighting control, So the possibility to really have real-time data on what is happening with mobility in cities. We have also other interesting sources of data, that can be, in our case, satellites that give us global coverage on some aspects that are more really related to environment, to air qualities, to I think, like more global phenomena, but they are really interesting because they are produced in the same way for the same, for the whole world, and that enable us to compare situations. That it's something that also with data we learn to do. And we have, and I'm gonna go back to my first slide. We have accidental, open, and everywhere data. Something that a lot of people like to call the big data, the massive data, which is mean that it's data that it's created by our use of the city, by our use of social networks. It's data that it's not intended actually for public policy directly, but we can use, and it's really, really useful to understand some of these new complexities that we are addressing. And there is another layer that for us it's quite relevant and quite important, because we can think that when we are making this exercise of using data in our cities, we can somehow be on a really objective level or abstract level when thinking about the problems. But we like to understand that somehow we need to touch, or it's really necessary to touch upon our citizenship. So we also we will see some methodologies that engage with citizens to create data sets, and it's something that it's really nice, because in this process we also make them learn. We really share our visions together, and it's a layer that it's really, 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 really run. So the first pillar of this data revolution, of these data technology revolutions, it's having the data. The second one is our capacity to store it, and it's something that I remember floppy disk. Maybe some of you, Guillem, for example, don't remember about them, but now we have the capacity to store terabytes. And also I think this is one challenge that maybe you already has, as you're collecting data from mobility that can go really, really huge. So our capacity of store the data that we are creating, it's gonna actually somehow condition the analysis, and our capacity to reproduce some questions and some ideas during time. So storage is something we need to be really, really aware, even also in terms of environmental costs, because having data also means that we need to have huge buildings, data centers, and a lot of power consumption. So at certain point, we need to be really aware if the data that we are storing it's worth it, because it's gonna cost us a lot of money and a lot of energy to keep on going. And then the third pillar, it's related actually to computation. So we have now in Barcelona the Mare Nostrum, which is one of the huge super computers that we have in the world, that it's able to compute this huge amount of interaction per second, when 50 years ago we were able to make just 5,000 additions per second. So that means the power of computation has really, really increased in the last 10 years, but also our capacities to deal with this data, because for dealing with data, we need capacities, we need technical staff, that can be in the house, can be outside house, but it's really important to understand that also the techniques that we have really, to interact with this data have really changed a lot, I think that most of you are familiar with these two words, these two buzzwords. The first one is machine learning. So that means this advanced spatial, this advanced capacity that we have to deal with the data, these advanced statistics that we can use today. And also the one is artificial intelligence. So the use of algorithms that can really enable us to make some of these treatments. So I don't want this to be really so theoretical. So in a moment, we are really going to see specific examples on what I mean by these new data sets, these new case studies. But I think that what is important, or the main takeaway that I would like to for you to really take home today, it's why we need data for decision making. So it's a feeling that, and I come from the field of urban planning, so I mean that I treat with a lot of, or I deal with a lot of public administrations at the moment, and I think that it's a shared feeling that sometimes the way we take the decisions, it's not well informed, that it's based on experience, it's based on intuition. But sometimes we need to really have the knowledge to base our approach. And if we do like this is really important because we are able to capitalize somehow our own knowledge. We are even able to share our knowledge with others. And I mean, locally with local stakeholders, with technicians, with politicians. So we are able to really create conversations on a table on a much more informed way. And that for me, and this is the more important part, it gives us a tool for governance, the way we really try to govern and understand how we need to address these challenges in a more collective, co-created and governed way. And that means that we need to understand which is this cycle of taking decisions related to environment, related to mobility, related to a lot of things that happen in cities. And sometimes, and yeah, you can see my mouse, okay? I had the feeling that from the urban challenge to the urban policy, we make a straightforward line. So we really go from the problem to the solution in a really simple way. So if we introduce the data thinking in our everyday basis, it means that we can make the process of decision making a little bit more complex. I would say, four moments. The first one is in creating, trying to build the question. So the way we analyze now things can be really much more complex, and that's where data gathering, having data, to really illustrate the problem or the question that we are going to address, is really important. Then we can introduce data really in the analysis, the way that we are trying to frame the question, and that can be complemented with visualization. Visualization, when I mean analysis, we can go for numbers, like really to get to understand the amount of people that it's using active mobility today. That can be an output of analysis. But then we can also translate into boards, into cartographies, into even some simple graphics that you can use really to illustrate the problem that you're already having in your cities. And that it's gonna, so I think, as most of you are technicians here today, even not to empower you to go to your politicians and say, this is what evidence, my evidence, it's showing me. So I think there is another important moment, that actually it's the drafting of the urban policy. So we are able now to draft policies which are really data-based, in the way even we try to implement it. And I think there is another important fourth step that sometimes we really forget, I think, on a first basis. So or at least all the policies that we are trying to enforce, to implement, to somehow accompany now in the first try to make this idea of the evaluation from the very basis, because sometimes what we we experience is that evaluation comes at the very end when we already have a huge problem in our cities, and we said, okay, my God, we need to really react upon that, and it's when really we need to rush, and try to evaluate if the policy really was successful or not, and this is a cycle, okay? This is a cycle that we can repeat ever and ever again with I understand with the knowledge that we have built upon the different iterations. So I would like to present you now in these 30 minutes that we have before we start the dynamic, some of the data that we use, we have been using regarding mobility. I presented you, and I think you bite me, you trust me, that these new data technologies are gonna empower us, to make these new decisions in a different way. But there are some nuances, and some aspects that I want to highlight, and I think with examples it's gonna be simple. So some data that we have been using in mobility in these last 10 years. This is not your the normal representation that you make of a system of mobility based on the hierarchy, for example, of the roads. This is in 2014. We were participating, or we were part of the team that was drafting the new metropolitan plan that was recently approved this last year for the whole metropolitan area of Barcelona, which is here. We have 35 municipalities around, so mobility is a huge issue. And this is the first time that INRIX, which is actually the company that is beneath all the data that Google is releasing us on Google Maps, somehow share the data with a group of researchers that in our case, we were lucky to be, And this is the first time that we have seen a matrix of the metropolitan area using data from INRIX, from cell phones. So that actually it's giving us the true hierarchy of what's happening with mobility. So this is data from 2014. I want to also to think which was the data that you were using at the time. So this is something that maybe you are having on your mobility agencies as something new, but this is at the moment it was not really relevant. Data, of course, that can describe the coverage of public transportation. This is in 2014 also a first exercise that we have made using Google Transit Fit, that it's a standard, that during the years, I think, has penetrated, for most of the global mobility agencies. And here, what you can see, in these more rich areas is the areas where we have the best connection with, in this case, it was metro and bus, and how some areas of our territories are still not well connected, and this is not only these isochrones of 500 meters that we use to understand the coverage, but here we are introducing the parameter of the frequency and the intermodality, that it's something that it gives us a really new vision on how we are using or how it's this coverage of public transportation. We can use, for example, in this case, we're scrapping data from a taxi fleet that we have in Barcelona, some from these taxi apps, like My Taxi, Eco Taxi, that maybe you will have in your local context. And here, what it's really interesting is we have real-time data on the position of each of the vehicles, and we can understand, for example, something that is really important. What is the daily mobility and what is the nocturnal mobility, that we know that we don't have the same patterns. During night, we don't have public transportation in most of the cities. So that means this type of public vehicle, it's going to give us a really good insight on how people it's going to move. So it's really, really interesting information if you're able to have it in your cities. We have also social network mobilities. And you all tell me, oh, Mar, but social networks have changed a lot. People, it's not using the same network now. Like, I don't know, maybe Guillaume is using TikTok and I'm using Twitter, like X, sorry, So the way we use the social networks, it's not the same regarding the age, regarding the different, I think it's something that it has quite evolved during the years. But in this case, you can see an image again from this metropolitan area of Barcelona. I know the ones, the locals, you have identified here, Aeropuerto del Prat. This is Barcelona. So you can see in this image, we have 2 million of interactions in Twitter during a month, when we didn't care about privacy and everyone in 2014 was with the Wi-Fi open. So that means we have a really really good understanding on how people was moving in the territory. In Barcelona, for example, when we do surveys on mobility, we survey just 5,000 people. Here we have 2 million of movements. So, okay, it's not official data. It's not something that maybe we can repeat during time, but it's going to give us a really good insight on these movements and these interactions that we have. So this is a really interesting layer that we can put on top on the data that you are collecting on a more official and structured way. We have been also lucky to be one of the teams that from the very beginning has worked with some of the private companies that in Spain were really pushing for the use of data. So in this case, we work with BBVA, which is one of our main banks. So we were able to describe also the movements of people through credit card interactions. In this case, this is Madrid, and this is interaction between different neighbors that you can see. There are really, normally they are really, really close here, but with the same distance here, we don't have the same interaction either here. It's because we have a huge infrastructure that it's really separating, in this case, to neighborhoods. So with data about money, we can describe, even how the different nationalities are moving in the city. So here, you are seeing how English people, it's moving in Madrid. If you take Chinese, there are a big point here that because they want, they go and buy, in these, really expensive shops during, half an hour, and they go back to their buses. But, so we can even, go to a really detailed description on how people it's moving in the city according to their nationality, or even we can do now, for example, in Spain, using data from cell phones. This is the matrix of mobility pre-COVID, after COVID that we are able to do, because in our case, the National Institute of Statistics of Spain has an agreement for buying data from the main 3 telcos that we have and here in the country, and we are able to describe really well how all of us are moving in the city. There is another part that for me, remember, in this very first introduction, we are gonna make less of these big movements. We are doing more of these small movements, And I would say that one of the lacks that we have, I think, and you will tell me if this is common or not, in Europe. But actually, it's how we describe the slow mobility networks, And it's something that now, for example, in our context, we are able to do it because we have really, detailed information, on our cartographic institutes, but also we have really nice open projects, like OpenStreetMaps that are really trying to put, a huge emphasis, on this small pathways, small street, pedestrian areas that we use. We can even make one of these exercise of engaging citizenship. This is a survey that we have done in a neighborhood of Barcelona, when we try to describe using actually this survey the desire lines that neighbors were doing to go through the neighborhood, and we know it by gender, by age, and this is really nice information that we can with really slow, I would say, slow technologies, we can achieve. So I would say we have data, we have new data, and actually, you will show me which is the data in the dynamic that you are using today in your local context to address mobilities. So I think that the data collection problem, it's something that we are close to solve, and you will tell me afterwards that no, this is difficult, we need money, we need infrastructure, we need people, we need a lot, okay, but it's true, no, that the data that we have to talk about mobility today has changed a lot, no, and that it's, I think it's giving us some superpowers, no, to really to change the questions that we are gonna, or that we want to address. So I wanted to present you really quick four case studies on how we have been using some of this data to create, one of this process of decision making. In some cases it's a policy, in some cases it's a strategy, in some cases it's more a reflection on how we need to change things in city. You have the link, because I'm gonna go really quick on them, but I wanted to really emphasize some of the aspects that I think it can be somehow applied to your local context. So we will be talking on how we want to improve air quality in our cities. Some of the other paradigms, sorry, that I didn't touch it in the very beginning, but because I know that we will touch it later on. It's how we design the mobility, the freight mobility, that it's one of the big issues that we are facing after COVID. How we need to also really design this new paradigm of the low mobility cities, and what can be the impacts that it's gonna create, and then how we design our cities for a really increase walkability. So regarding air quality in Barcelona, we have a really huge issue that I think it's common in other contexts. We have been fined for our worst quality, air's worst quality in Europe for the last 8 years. So it's a really huge issue in the city that you can see, with this really nice photograph. But the problem is that air quality, it's something that it's somehow invisible. Where you are working around Barcelona, we cannot actually see this fog that it seems that we have on top of us. This is a huge health issue. So 12%. 12% of the virgin deaths that we have yearly are related to this air pollution. So it's really a question that we need to understand. We really need to be able to model, and that's in this project that was presented in the Venice Biennale 2 to 3 years ago. Actually tried to do so, to illustrate to people really which was this problem, and really to make them understand that it's really localized in a central area of the city. It's not something that it happens everywhere in the city, but it's really all these PM and NO2 air quality problems that we have are focused in the city center of Barcelona. And the problem, it's not because of the cars, of course, it's because of the cars. And it's something that we learn with COVID. With no cars, we have a better air quality. I think that most of you have seen the same thing in your city. In the case of Barcelona, the problem actually is because the way we have been building our city and our relation with the territory. So this is actually an image, or like an analysis that we use using data from cell phones, using this matrix of mobility. And you can see how in the center of Barcelona, we are attracting mobility not only for our metropolitan area, but from the whole Catalonia. And at the same time, in other areas of mobility, in other areas of Barcelona, in a really close proximity of the central area, we move in proximity. No? So we are really attractive as a territory, and at the same time, we're able to create this low mobility paradigm. So this attraction, in our case, it's translated directly into mobility issues, into a lot of people wanted to enter Barcelona at the same hour, and that it's translated into air quality problems. So in this case, what we tried to build actually, it were several recommendations for policymakers, and we did together with urban planners, with doctors, with mobility experts, with a really transversal team. And you can see some of the recommendations are actually related to mobility. So please, we are gonna try to foster cycling, biking, like really low emission transportation, of course, public transportations. And here, this is again this analysis that we try to make on the coverage of public transportation in Barcelona. We need to design this mobility of right, because we know this is it's really pollutant, because they are using like really all vehicles in the city. But also we need to go for a low emission zone in the city of Barcelona, not at the metropolitan level, but a really small one. And it's a decision that maybe most of you are facing today, how you need to design this contention of mobility. Is it a urban toll? It's a low mobility zone. So maybe you are facing one of these questions. So you need to be really aware on where. So really this data, it's going to help us to make this kind of decisions. But there are other decisions that are also related to mobility that touch upon public space. In the case of Barcelona, we need we have a really good coverage and good infrastructure on public space. We need to be aware that we have old people, that we have young people, that they need to sit on their way on the city. So there are some decisions that touch upon this way of designing our streets, designing our infrastructure, that they are not just for cars. Some other environmental aspects, if we improve mobility in our cities, if we are able to control pollutants and emissions, we are going to reduce the heat island effects. So there are also these collaterals of mobility that are really important. And somehow, also we need to design or redesign. It's something that we need to do in Barcelona, the way we place the things in the city. So we need to decentralize the uses. We need to put the uses in a way that are more efficient, and we are not forcing people to move around the city to make the shopping, to go with their children to the school. So urban planning somehow not directly related to mobility, it's going to have a huge impact on the way we move, and we create, and we exacerbate some of the of mobility problems that we have, And just to be really, for me, it's really provoking to be today in front of you that come from the mobility field, when I would say that we need to reduce the parking in cities. I know it's a really huge issue for most of us, So it's a strategy that we can use really to not to attract so many cars into our cities. We know it's really polemic, for people. But in our case, it was, I think, one of the strongest recommendations, because in Barcelona, it has been used parking and as a strategy to pay public space. So it means that we are a city that we unconsciously we attract the cars, and now we need to go on another direction. So you can see, we in this case we use data to model the problem. We are giving some recommendations or some policy related decisions that are of course mobility centered, but also not related to urban planning. The second example that I want to put on the table, it's related to last mile logistics, is an exercise that we did together with Ferrovial and the City Council of Barcelona in the framework of Data City Lab, which is a kind of innovation lab. It's a really short work that was made in 4 months. But what we tried to do actually was to understand how to design the last mile logistic strategy for the city of Barcelona, based on having micro hubs where the huge vans were gonna arrive with the freight, and from these points we are gonna distribute it using cargo bikes or by walking to the rest of the city. So here the main point was, okay, but how many packages do we need to distribute? Really, this system we need to quantify. And in this case, we were using data from Google, okay, to understand which were the users that we have for each point of Barcelona. We have a city actually were very mixed use, but in the city center, this is Passeig de Gràcia, so the main center of Barcelona, we have mainly offices and commerce, and in the rest, we have a mix of commerce and housing, So we really need to be aware, on which was, this urban mix, also which were the demographics, because we know that in the case of last mile logistics, maybe young people, it's more, or more often, shop online. There are also the ones that create more failure, in the distribution, because normally they are not home to receive the packages. So there are some issues related to demographics also that we, in the case of Barcelona, we are able to know. And basically, with these two main informations, you can see here, this is part of the analysis that we made. Also, we have a really third important information, which is a system that Barcelona has implemented to control the vans that are parked in the street. So we know, actually, thanks to this APP, how many vans do we have parked in the street related to freight. We know the demographics, we know the urban uses, and we can kind of make a regression model to see, okay, if I have this mix of people, if I have this mix of users, I will have these vans parked in the street. We know more or less that each of these vans can have between 20 to 40 packages. So we really can make an estimation of with really the capacity that our system we need to address. And what you in this image that it's moving and it's really fascinating. Actually, what we try to simulate, using these 4 main entrances that we have in the city, actually. Which was the capacity of our system if we need to deliver all the packages to everyone's houses, or if we go for a solution like this one, where we place 16, of these hub facilities around the cities, where we try to deliver the same amount of packages. Main result, we can go from a reduction of the 40% of emissions if we go to this hub distribution model. So as I said, this is a pilot. So I think that also it's important for you to understand that sometimes we can have the data, but we need to make the piloting before we go to really to implement the solution. So there is in this data cycle, sometimes we need to do a couple of iterations. Because here what could happen, that the prediction was not good, for example, that the results were the ones that we didn't expect, that maybe that this data that we have been used, it's not something that we can repeat after time. So it's really important, I think, here to emphasize the value of this project is the piloting. So the city of Barcelona would need to repeat this exercise with data of 1 year, more refined, even to go to the final solution, that like a company like Ferrovial, in this case, that they are able to pilot, and manage the system could do. And then another project, and I'm going to go really, really fast on it, that we have been working. It's one of our most recent projects. Here, what we are trying to understand is what can be the impact, no, of these new low mobility paradigms, no, that I think we are listening more and more after COVID. We know, no, of course, that climate change, it's making us, no, really, no, or like it's inviting us to not really content a little our daily mobility, that telework and digital technology somehow facilitates this. But at the very end, mobility in cities, it's something that enable us to mix and to create a kind of social mobility when we work to work and we mix with other people with incomes so that it's creating social complexity in cities. So what we try to do actually in this project is to understand if we go to this paradigm of moving less, if we are going to decrease this complexity, and we are going to go to a scenario of social segregation. So in this case, in Spain, we have data from COVID. We have data post-COVID. You know that here the lockdown was really severe. So we can assimilate somehow the lockdown to the most extreme scenario of reduction of mobility in Spain that we can go. So what do we really try to understand? And here you are big, this point here. This is the mobility that you create and how you relate with in this matrix of mobility. We are able to understand where is your really capacity of constraining, and really then try to somehow describe these impacts. Because if these urban fabric are not well prepared, if this environment are not if we stay more and more in our neighborhoods, and our neighborhoods are not prepared, we don't have schools, we don't have the commerce, we don't have this social mixture, we are going to create a huge impact. So during the project, we have defined 7 indicators that can somehow describe the future impacts of going to scenarios of low mobility. And there are 3 of them that for us are really interesting. We have discovered that in Spain, we are in a really bad shape regarding to public transportation. You will see, I am going to show you now the cartography, that we still have a high dependency on mobility related to work, because we have a lot of people that, and it's a doctor, but it's someone that is working on agriculture, that they will need to go either yes or yes to their places of work presentially, and that somehow it's constraining us or it's putting us in disadvantage when we have a territory that is relying a lot on presential work. It's that disadvantage regarding to other territory. And we have areas that also create excess of mobility because, for example, they concentrate a lot of production, a lot of industry, and people really need to go there. Yes, I know, because you are here, most of you related to public transport. All the red areas that you see in this cartography of Spain are areas where the connectivity it's totally inexistent. So really you have a huge problem again. You can really recognize actually big in the middle of these areas. We have territories that they are far in a really bad shape. So just for you to understand that also these new paradigms in mobility are gonna have impacts, and it's something that we can evaluate. And this is a project also on trying to anticipate, evaluate, and really try to make this reflection, or that this try to throw these ideas before it's happening. And last project that it's going to involve citizenship in this evaluation, in understanding if this design of public space that we need to do for active mobility is something that we are doing good or not. And I think that the paradigm, it's really clear here. Normally we go from A to B in a really efficient way, but now we have this erratic mobility in cities. So that means that our capacity and the way we really design our mobility infrastructure needs to take into account people that it's moving in the city. So in this case, what we did, it's to make a citizen science experiment to understand if the quality of these streets that we are designing, it's good or it's bad. So it's an experiment that it's based on geography of perception, on the idea that when we see an image, we are able to understand if something is likes or not. We do like it or not. So in this case, this is a photograph of a street of Barcelona, and behind this we have a lot of data that we can have on our cities. We know the width of the street, we know the amount of streets, we know if we have commerce or not, blah, 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 So with that, we do a huge data model of the city. In our case, with more than, it's 30,000 segments of a street. We make a lot of statistic process. I'm not going to enter into the detail. And the experiment of evaluation for the citizenship is to choose between two photographs. It's like a kind of urban Tinder, okay? Where you say, I prefer this one, I prefer this one. Okay. We can actually make this together with really specific age groups, like children, old people, have also gender information. And during all this process of classifying each of the photographs that it's associated to a point of our urban model, we are able to understand which are the streets that people prefer the more, which are the streets that people prefer the less. You can see this is one of the worst streets, one of these main entrances of Barcelona, with a lot of cars, a big road, like really, this is one of the best ones, pedestrianized, with really nice infrastructure of architecture, so really, we have means, to make people evaluate, our political and technical action when regarding the mobility, and in this process, and I'm not gonna enter into the detail, but we can use actually algorithms to understand which of these parameters are most important in the design, or in the best design, or the design that people perceive as the best one, and use the same parameters actually in urban planning. And it's a top-down. I think what it's interesting, it's a top-down evaluation of the urban environment that you can use. And somehow, and this is my last point, we can understand that using all these data technologies, we can address complexity, but we can address complexity by age, by gender, and you can see how different men and women, women, we are the red ones. We understand what is the best street, but maybe there is the part of the complexity, there is the part that we do more everyday taking care activities, that we somehow perceive security in a different way. So all these nuances using data technologies can be addressed, that we have addressed in the past, also using credit card transactions, or, for example, in this really last exercise that we have done with the data of public cycling in Zaragoza, you can see this percentage of at 7:30 in the morning, 57% of the users are men, 43 are women. There is a bias, in the way that all of us are using the different means of transport. No, sometimes women, we are afraid, no, of being in between the cars, or we need to do, no, more of these everyday activities. No, so I think it's also important, and I think it's something that URBACT no, program is also trying to, no, embed in this edition, at which point we are able to introduce, no, these nuances in the design and in the decision making processes. So that was room for thought. I know it's a lot of information in a really short time. So you have the examples, you have me. We can discuss it further on in the future. But what I wanted to actually do now, it's to make a small dynamic. It's not gonna last more than 20 to 15 years if we manage to, Monica, to organize you in a very efficient way in the rooms. So we have divided actually it's like seven groups. That you know, now I think Monica it's gonna assign you to the room. I will actually invite you to enter the Metaverse. Yesterday I've sent you an invitation that I think that most of you already have received. If not, please, it will be the moment now to tell us so, because I think we can share, Monica, on the chat again, or like try to make the invites soon. Okay. So the idea is it's that we have prepared this dynamic that it's gonna work in three iterations. So we invite you to tell us. Or to write down 3 to 5 data sets or experience that you are making regarding data collection. For example, I put here, if you have information of ticketing, for example, because you have a smart ticketing system, a smart card that users, when they enter the public bus, they tick, and you have data about that, of if you are making surveys on which is the main mean of transport that you are using. So some data that you are collecting now, today, okay? Then we will try to classify this data based on how are you collecting it. It's something that it's automatic. You are buying this data from a provider, you are making surveys, so which is the data collection methodology that you are using. If you're owners or not of these data sets, I think it's something that's a really, really important question regarding the governance. If it's something that it's ready, that you can download and you can use it, or maybe you need to make some analysis operations, you need to treat this, okay, that will be the readiness. And the temporal and spatial aggregation. Temporal aggregation, if it's something that you have real time, that you are collecting once a year, that you make it like monthly because it's a survey that you do in your public transport. And the spatial aggregation, it's data that you have point per point, because, for example, you have a sensor that is controlling the traffic lights, or it's something that you have for the whole city or for the whole metropolitan area. So we will make this classification. So for each of this data that you are collecting, you give us an insight on these 5 ideas. And then if you're using this data for a policy, you can be using it or not, or maybe you can imagine some policies that at the moment you can apply this data for. So you will see, I'm gonna shift now, dejar de presentar. I'm gonna shift to Miro, okay.
And I'm opening
perfect,
the
Monica.
rooms.
So you will see that for each of you, you have this panel, okay. Each of these colors will be a city, or I know that maybe we have two team members, from the same organization. So each of these post-its actually should be an organization. So in this very first part, you put this data set. So I'm gonna zoom a little bit, okay, that you are collecting now. Here we left you, to make it easier, some ideas on this data collection methods, the ownership, the readiness. Okay, so for each of the data set, you give us an insight on this, okay, on these things. Okay, and then finally, if you are using here this data set for a policy, if you can write it down. So we had prepared with Monica these breakout rooms in case you want to discuss this with your mates. So I think that now Monica is going to explain us how we shift. And I would say that in 10 minutes, okay, 10 minutes, we go back here. So what be 10 to 25. We will try to make a quick debrief. So I just choose one of you as the one that is going to talk in this final round of interventions. So Monica, I give back to you.
The thing is, as administrator, I cannot see what you see, but in the top of the screen, you have a link. Is it like that? No. So down right, there is an icon with a square, triangle, and round. And I think you could go there. Some people, it's already entering the rooms.
Perfect. Super.
But if somebody has a problem, please just tell us.
Exactly. Or if you have problems entering the mirror, because I invited all of you, but not all of you. I see all of you, you can see, but if someone has an issue, we are there to solve.
The people from Zona are very excited. They are next to me.
Santamaría, I somehow came back to the main.
Yeah, that's normal. That was important.
How can
You were kidnapped back.
How can I come back? Because we haven't done anything yet.
No worries. Actually, we were conscious of the time. Okay, and I think it's we will leave the board open, Monica, for you to have the time, because most of you, I know it has been challenging. In Group A, for example, they told me they were not mobility experts. They were financial, and they had other expertises. So maybe you want to call back your colleagues in the mobility department or the urban planning department or the IT departments, so you can do this exercise together with them, or maybe repeat this with your ULG or in the transnational meeting. So now you have like the framework. I think it was it was hard for some of you. Someone said, "I don't have data." Okay, that's the first. I think this is the first question that we need to understand. It's our 11. And if you remember in the questionnaire that the team has sent you at the very beginning, we said different categories. So I don't have data because I'm a super small municipality and I don't need data. Maybe I don't have data, but I have a plan to have it, and then there are the ones that maybe they have data, they have the capacity, as Alessia was explaining me, to analyze some of this data, and maybe you have data and want more data, So I think it's important to understand in which category do you fit, and in which category do you want to fit, when URBACT program it's gonna arrive to the end and in 5 years, okay? So I think it's really, really important. Maybe Antanas, if you want to share what you have done in Group A, actually they told me, I can do it for you. They told me they were not mobility experts, but they knew that in their, at least in their city, they have from previous URBACT program, make a survey on the state of the public space for disabled people. So I think it's a really good example of data which is created for a really specific purpose during a kind of manual data collection, but at the same time, it's something that, imagine you're a small city, and it's something you can really address. It's data and then you have, which is publicly owned, and then you can reproduce it over time, And then from the other city that was together with them in group A, they also have data from an intelligent transport system they have already implemented right now, and they know that there is some dimensions that they are going to cover in the future. Maybe some representative from group B1 from Uzona can really in 1 minute explain us the data that they have filled.
Yes. Do you hear?
Thank you, Arnau.
Okay, well, we didn't have time to complete it.
Normal.
But well, we identified several data sets. For example, a survey that 2 years ago we did in our region in Uzona, but then we also have the survey that yearly the Barcelona Regional Authority makes about the transportation. That the data is quite well. We made the Ozona survey because the Barcelona Regional survey is not precise enough for our region, because it's centered specifically a lot in Barcelona, but not for our dynamics, which are more rural, we think.
Exactly.
And then, well, we also have the mobile data, although at this time we haven't worked a lot with it, but we know that with the National Statistical Institute, we have it.
And it's really interesting, the two cases that you're explaining, because you have like a kind of national kind of background, that they are like national or regional, they are releasing data, but for you it's not enough. So in your case, I think it's really interesting, the exercise of how you downscale this high level data to your necessities.
And then there's another thing that we have requested to the national, to the Catalan administration, which is the public transportation validations, the validations that people using each service of public transportation makes. And the thing about it is that it's not open, but it's under request. So we think that we could really learn a lot from this data, but for the day of today we don't have it. And well, we also have a lot of socio-demographic data, not specifically about mobility, but
okay, but it's important.
It's also very useful.
Super. Let's move to the next group, I'm afraid. Thank you, Arnau. What happened in group 3? Any representative that wants to take the floor? If not, we move to the next one.
I'm not sure that everyone knows which group was the one.
Let me. Group 3 was Innova Marsh and Quadrilatero. Group C. Okay. This is the. Can you take the floor?
Yes. Hello. We were doing it on group 4, unfortunately.
Okay, no worry. Yeah, I find you.
Sorry about that.
No, no.
No,
So
in
you-
fact, we changed the groups dynamically because one of them disappeared.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay.
So we have, no, in your case, data about, no?
Yes, the first one is from Angela. I don't know.
Yes.
I think
Yes, we have different data set from because we are talking about four cities and not one.
Yeah.
So trying to put the information all along. Me and Amadeo
Yeah.
So, for instance, we have some data from smart city apps or smart mobility platforms that we can use on our data as our data collection.
Okay.
So I think that it will be a huge outcome of information.
Mm-hmm. Super. And then you have, no, demography and mobility and walkability.
Yes, walkability. We don't have all the surveys, but we intend to look from some surveys that were made mainly in schools.
Mm-hmm.
And work with students to realize what kind of patterns are here in terms of walkability towards school mainly.
Okay, great. Great. Great, great. That was super clear. Okay, let's move to group D. There were the ones that maybe didn't have data. Is that true? Bram, Kokani.
Okay.
You want to take the floor, please?
Yeah.
Go ahead with the no data thing.
We are, first of all, small municipalities, and we don't have a lot of data gathered, and we don't have mechanisms a lot to gather data. But after we speak a little bit with Monica, we realized that maybe we have some data, but we don't use the data properly. Actually, we don't use it at all. Then we realized that the first step that we need to do is to create a data where we will put all the information that we have from different sources. So after that, we can analyze when it's well structured. All this information, we can analyze this data and make in future decision and policies based on this information that we will have.
Super. Super. Thank
We
you.
are
Thank you.
still that we don't have a lot of data, but that will be all.
I think you're going to have a plan, no? It seems to me, after listening to you, that you have a plan. You have a plan here. So let's move
Yeah, we
to
have some starting point.
Yeah, super. Let's move to Bucharest, Munich, and Fingal in Group E.
That's it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the first one is not necessarily a data set, it's more actions that make sure that the data set gathered is accurate. So we check the vehicles if they're leaving on time and if they are clean on site and online. And also we have GPS on every single one of them. The ownership is a collaboration between the city hall and the operators.
Okay.
The data is open. When I mean open, it's basically the GPS location. So you have an app and you can see where the bus is and how many minutes it will arrive at your station. On the second one, I was talking about the Bucharest traffic management system when I meant ITS. With the sensors that are on the road, we can see where the congestion starts and where it ends. It is not working 100%, only about 50%, but it's being modernized. The ownership is public because it's owned by the Bucharest City Hall. We don't know if, I don't know, let's say a citizen can request data from them. We can, for example. So yeah, that's why I did not choose one at the readiness.
Mm-hmm.
And the data is being provided in real time.
Super.
The
Great.
first one is the ticketing system data.
Okay.
The data is provided by operators to their reports. Also, the ownership is both of the City Hall, us, and the
Okay.
operators.
The
We
operators.
have to request them every month
Mhm.
to get us these reports. And there's aggregation. It's on the whole region of Bucharest.
Super. Super.
And the last one, we do every year a passenger satisfaction survey to see if they are satisfied or not. It is made public. It will be every year. It's on our website, so everyone can access it and see if they are
Super.
satisfied or not, or what we can provide better. And it also covers the whole region.
Great.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you. Let's go to the last one. Okay.
I think, Marit, was ours.
Alessia, sì.
Okay.
Esatto. I'm gonna find you, Oop.
I told about our parking system. We have
Exactly.
sensors, 2,500 sensors in each parking space of the city center. The data are, we have a lot of data that are provided by the operator, but they are owned by the city. We do directly the analysis, even if the operator give us some graphics and some queries, but we usually do directly analysis. The data are used by the users too, from the people, because by an app they can go directly to the parking spaces that they have chosen.
Super.
And what else? Because I don't have the scheme. What else could I?
Yeah, the spatial and temporal aggregation. How often?
Oh,
do
yeah.
you get the data?
We can do it in real time, but we have historical data too. And it's used by our offices for the policies about the parking system in the city, by the users because they can reach easily the city, and by the officer that make the enforcement about the correct use of the parking spaces. I don't know if there is something else. Jana was telling me that they have data from the public transport.
Super. Okay, I would like to thank you all because I think it has been challenging for you. I think that now we have you can have a clear picture on where you what other colleagues in your network are trying to address. So I think that this is, I think it's something really nice from URBACT program that we can learn from each other experience. Just to close, I would like to raise two last thoughts. So what makes a good data set? And I think that here we have seen some examples, So really this idea of the public governance, even though you have operators, and I think in the case of mobility, it's quite normal, that you are working with third parties. Really, good data set is when you have the public governance of it, that at the very end, it's your local authority, your metropolitan authority, or whatever, that has this governance. the temporal and spatial resolutions are two issues that I think it's really, really important. And I think also, no, this example from Uzona is really interesting, no, at which point we need somehow more disaggregated data to tackle, no, the needs no, of our local communities. And I think that methodology, it's something which is also really important to document the way we are making these data collections, no? And I think that maybe for the less experienced partner, it's really interesting to be able to share the methodologies, to see what works, to or not, no? Maybe you can start with manual collection to then go to more automatization, no? And really, no? Understand, no? How you are building little by little your data strategy. Then the other point, important point that I wanted to stress, it's, no, again, no, why do we want data? And we can use data in these 3 steps, no, really to describe the problem, okay, to evaluate and compare our strategies, our policies, our outcomes with others, no, and I think it can be the case, no, in the network where maybe, no, some partners are already collecting the same things in more or less the same way. So you would be able to compare to each other. And I think, no, when we reach a certain maturity on those 2 first steps, we go, no, we can go, no, to this decision-making process. Alessandra, no, no, it was Alessia, Alessandra, it was you that you were telling me that, no, not sometimes the politicians are using this, no, but I think that it's a kind of global trend where data is getting more and more informed, and it's important to have, not the capacities to then convince no, your local authorities that it's a pathway that you wanna take, no. So I think it, or at least I hope it was clear, no, that the future development here, what we have done, it's really to try to understand which is the state of the art, which is, no, some of the data that you have ability, to give you some examples of how you can introduce this way of thinking to your local context, and really to create, no, a small dynamic that even you can, no, reproduce with your mates, with your partners, no, in the future, no. So for us, what would be, no, the future development of this, no, for you to think on which are your data needs related to the policies that you are implementing in the realm of mobility, which are your data gaps, and here I think we have seen, no, some partners that start measuring things, some partners that really don't have data, some partners where they have, no, like in the case of Catalonia, no, where we already have several layers of complexity to deal with, no, and so the gaps here can be a little bit different, to reflect upon which are these data gathering processes, no, if you're able to automatize or not, no. So, but I think that automatization, it's not no, a goal in itself, but it's, no, the end of a process that starts, no, before. If you know some of these needs are related to the storage process, no, and the way, no, you really, no, manage the data, and some question that somehow it was also raised, it's the analysis, no, and here my last question for you, and maybe, you know, it's something for the ones, no, that already you don't have implemented these strategies. Which are your challenges? No, so the challenges are related to the cost of this. No, it's related to the infrastructure. No, that maybe you need the infrastructure to, no, to address these, no, these methodologies, or it's about the knowledge. No, if your local no, teams are prepared to deal with, no, and I think these are 3 lines which are really interested to develop. No, I didn't say that, but I'm the lead expert of another youth bar network, Cities at Heart, devoted to the urban centers, and we are trying to make also this exercise, no, to understand if our problem is related to the lack of infrastructure, to the cost, or even, no, no, to the lack of knowledge of the local teams, no, which I think it can be, no, somehow really relevant. So It was my pleasure to put this small seat in each of you this morning. I know the amount of time was limited. I think we will try to leave this board open for some time. We will share with you the presentation, the links, the information, all the elements that we have touched upon today. And if you have a final remark, some questions that you are going to address, I think we still have 4 minutes before Monica closes the session.
I just want to inform you that in the chat, you've got the link to the evaluation survey. It will be very important for us to see your feedback. There is the first 2-3 questions for everyone, and then it says just for Beyond the Urban, so that we can address the following webinars. It was nice to have you here. Just open to questions. Anyone, just take the micro and come in, no problem. So I see it was very clear or too much information. The thing is, we will send you an email with all the information. We are open to questions. If you were together with colleagues that you haven't known before and you need to contact them or you want to share ideas, just inform us and we will put you in contact. The same with the expert, Mar, and we are here for you for whatever you need and any clarification.